Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I've had a lot of people asking about my Northern Lights tumbler, so here goes the tutorial. So I just take a basic baby spoon, but I get the silicone tipped one because it seems to slide off better. And I dip my spoon into my jars or my bags, whichever glitter I'm using, it depends on. And then I'm just going to start sprinkling, and I usually start with the fluorescent green, and I drop that all down in the tree line at the bottom. So that's what I'm going to start doing right now. While I'm doing that, I'll touch base on how I started my cup because I forgot that process. I've actually had this cup sitting for about 2 weeks before I was able to get to the tutorial. I've had a lot of family things going on, along with my glitter got delayed like a week and a half to 2 weeks. So I've had it just sitting. So I just basically prepped my tumbler as normal, and then I spray painted it black. I cut out the SVG, the tree line, on my Cricut, and I have the SVG in my store online if you're wanting the one that I used. And for this one, I actually added mousse on it because the person wanted mousse in the tree line for this specific tumbler. And I normally use a Hogs. That's what my go-to cup is, what I sell. But my customer had wanted a Bubba cup. So that's what I'm using in this tumbler, and that's why it has a little indent right there on the tree line, which I'm thinking it might actually give it a little bit more depth. So we'll see at the end, rather than the normal, just standard look. So as you can see, I'm just going in and sprinkling the glitter still. And back to the image, I cut out in removable vinyl, Cricut removable vinyl. And it's actually, I've had it sitting, like I said, for almost 2 weeks. So you'll see at the end of this video where I had trouble pulling the vinyl off. It took me a while. Like when you guys put this removable vinyl down and you go to pull it at the end, it's gonna come right up with no issues. It's just because I've had it sitting. But as you can see how good it is, it doesn't even pull the paint as long as I've had it sitting, and also as much as you see me digging at this thing at the end of this video, trying to get the vinyl off of it. So I just measured my cup all the way around, and then I cut out my design with removable vinyl, and then I placed it on my cup, and then I did epoxy method on the top half of my cup above from the tree line up. And I actually use a little bit more epoxy than I do as I normally would with the epoxy method while you're glittering a tumbler. And that's just so when the glitter hits, it flows a little bit, rather than it just, when it turns, it falls off. It's actually kind of moving and flowing, so it's kind of flowing into the next color of glitter to help it kind of move more, like mica powders, or like when you do acrylic or marbles or anything like that. Just kind of helps it flow to help it blend better. So as you can see, I'm just going through and sprinkling with the cup and changing colors. I went from the fluorescent green to the hot pink, and I'm going like right along the green and a little bit over it, and then I hold my hand up a little bit high, and then I sprinkle down some pink on top of the green, and I'm trying to sprinkle it lightly. That way when you're going over it with the next color of glitter, it blends better and holds there, rather than just fall off and not actually stick in that location. So you just want to start lightly sprinkling it. Just barely tap your spoon at first, that way so it's, you know, right when you're going along the line where you want it to blend. So now I'm just going in with the major part of the sky that I use, the Alaskan Nights. It's like a greenish blue, all kinds of colors. I can't really pinpoint what color it is. You guys tell me. But mostly to me it looks more like a green blue hue. So I'm just going in and sprinkling it all around, because this is like the glitter I use for most of my sky that's in the dark parts of my sky. Sorry about that, I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode. So I switched over to airplane mode for you guys so I won't get any more beans. Don't mind my little creepy Chucky staring at you either. He's just waiting for his next victim. So for those of you who have waited for a while for this video, like maybe 5 weeks or so, I just want to apologize that it took me so long. Like I said in the beginning, had some family things come up that I had to take care of, and then the glitter got delayed 2 weeks and such, and then I finally got everything all ready and ready to do this tutorial for you. And would you know it takes like 30 minutes to upload this thing too. Not saying like that took the whole time, but you know, that took part of it. And also on the bottom, don't worry about if you sprinkle it on the bottom. If you get it on the bottom, you can just wipe it up. Or if you get epoxy on it like I did when I was applying epoxy method on the top, I nicked it with my hand and got epoxy down below. Don't worry about that either, because later on you can clean it up with a baby wipe before you put any glitter or whatever you're gonna do with the bottom tree line. So like as you can see, I'm just going in and sprinkling it with the spoon, just filling in the places and trying to get them to blend as best as I can. And I go over the glitter with the next color a little bit over, trying to get them to blend better. Just sprinkling. Sometimes you barely tap that spoon and it's like the whole thing just fell off sometimes. So just tap it lightly and let it just fall in there. And you want to change your hands from going, you know, holding it down low and holding it up high, depending on how much you need to blend those colors right there or whatnot. So I'm just going through and sprinkling the darkest color I have for the sky to give me more of the night darkness look along, to help blend with the lighter colors. And I'm sprinkling a little bit of it down low, the darker colors. So now I'm just going through with the shaker on my fine one. It's like a purplish blue mix, and I'm just trying to blend them all together. Just going over in between each color, around each line, just going around each section, blending it all together. So now I'm just going and sprinkling over different areas that I see that isn't blended or that I want blended better. switching in between colors as I go. So I'm using the hot pink and the purple, just trying to get it to blend, to get that blended look, not to have not such a harsh line where they meet, where each color meets. Like I said, I'm coming in now with the baby wipe where I hit it with epoxy, and you're gonna see that, you know, it's lickety split from KS resin, so it's getting pretty dry already. So at one point I'm gonna turn the camera off and scrub it, and then turn it back on for you guys so you don't have to sit here and watch me try to scrub it, because it's kind of hard to hold it and scrub it and not have my hand in your guys' view. So this would have just been easy for you. You guys could have just brushed it off with a brush, or using that baby wipe would have just wiped it all right off. But as you can see, like I hit it in the beginning, so it's already starting to dry. Now I'm just going back through and sprinkling over again like I was before, just trying to blend the colors. Excuse me, sorry. Trying to get it to the right look that I like. Making sure not to have any harsh lines where each color meets. So now I'm just putting my stuff away, getting ready to pull the removable vinyl. Giving you guys a little view of what it looks like further away, so it's not all like up in your face, trying to see the blending, how I got it blended. I also tape the top and bottoms of my cup. It's just my preference. So I'll be pulling the tape. You'll see me pulling the tape before I pull the before I pull the removable vinyl. My preference also on taping the top and bottom, I tape the bottom off just in case, you know, a customer drops the tumbler, it doesn't ruin the whole cup. And also I think of it as a perspective as a customer, like if I were to buy, because I have bought tumblers from other tumbler makers, so if I were to buy a cup and I dropped and fell and I'd spent $60 on it, I'd be kind of disappointed that I couldn't get it fixed and have to, you know, buy a whole nother cut when I could be spending when I could be spending my money on getting a whole nother cup made for me. On some of my cups, like if the look, it goes with the whole kind of feng shui of the cup, then I do epoxy the bottom, like on my tumblers, or if my customer requests that I epoxy the bottom, I do. But most of the time I tape the top and the bottom. You guys will also have to bear with me. I'm new to making video tutorials for other people, because you know, when you're in your craft room just vibing and listening to your music, that's when everything goes right. And you know, when you're in front of a camera and doing it for somebody else, you know, you always have to have some word that you mess up, or something that you messed up on the tumbler. And mine was getting epoxy down below. So it's just spinning right now, and I'm getting ready to pull the tape right after I blend some more. I'm going to pull the tape off the top and the bottom, and then I will pull the stencil off of my removable vinyl. Also, stay tuned for part 2. I'll be showing you how I epoxy it and how I add my stars. So as you can see, I just kind of bumped the tumbler to knock all the excess glitter off of it. After it dries, I also take a brush and brush it before I epoxy, and I don't seal it. I normally seal my glitter before I epoxy, but with this specific tumbler that I do not seal it. That way the glitter moves a little bit over to each section to help it blend better. So now I'm just pulling the tape off the bottom, and I'm getting ready to pull the removable vinyl. And like I said in the beginning, you'll see how I had trouble pulling the vinyl off because it's been sitting for 2 weeks. So it's going to take me a bit of a minute for this, removing the vinyl. So let me just fast forward this part for you. You can see I actually scraped with my tool on the glitter, so I just took some glitter and pushed it down, patted it down over it again, and covered it up. And if your epoxy had just for some reason not stuck there afterwards and you couldn't get it to stick, you don't have to worry, because at the end you can always spray glue, or you can go in with Mod Podge and you can use that and fix the little scratch that you did with your tool. So I'm just going in. I sped up the video right here for you guys so you didn't have to watch me peel this slowly. So I'm just taking off the mousse and the end of it, and then I'm going to go through and check each tree and make sure I got all the tops, because sometimes it hides underneath that glitter. That's another thing. I always try to use a light colored removable vinyl. That way it's easy to see underneath the glitter. So now I'm just grabbing a baby wipe because I'm getting ready to wipe up the bottom of the tumbler. And at some point I actually turned it off. That way you guys don't have to sit here and watch me scrub it. So I scrubbed off what had started to cure, and then I'm going to go in with show you how I go in with Mod Podge at the bottom, aka the devil's glue, what they call it in the crafting world, and sprinkle lightly in the bottom tree line. I normally just sprinkle lightly in the bottom tree line, just a little tiny bit, but for this tumbler, this customer had asked for to go a little extra heavy in the tree line on this tumbler. So as I said, I'm just wiping it up, cleaning it up, because I had, like I said, touched it with epoxy. So I'm just taking a fan brush, Alaskan Nights, and Mod Podge. And I'm just going to brush the Mod Podge around on the bottom in the tree line. And she also wanted it in where the mousse are for this tumbler. So I'm just taking my brush and lightly brushing it and putting some on there, trying to get it on there. And then I'm going to take Alaskan Nights and I'm going to sprinkle it at the bottom for my tree line. when it comes to Mod Podge, here's the fun fact. I don't like to use it. Me and Mod Podge, we're not that close. I mean, we're okay, but we're not there. No. I have had trouble with Mod Podge from the beginning when I first started making tumblers a couple of years ago. I'm kind of heavy-handed, so that doesn't help. So I always put it on too thick, and then it takes forever to dry. And I'm just like so glad that somebody started using the epoxy method, because that's all I use. Either epoxy method or spray glue, unless I must use Mod Podge for intricate designs. Matter of fact, I think the only cup I've used Mod Podge on for the whole cup was my Buddy the Elf tumbler. So here I am just coming in with the Alaskan Nights and just sprinkling it at the bottom for the tree line. And I'm going to go up to in the trees also, and then the little moose, because she wanted it all to have like a little bit of sparkle everywhere and a little bit heavy at the very bottom in the tree line. So I'm just going back in with some more glue because it's starting to dry on the top. I forgot I had all my fans on in my room. Then I'm just going to come back in and sprinkle it with the Alaskan Nights again. So I'm just putting the Mod Podge where the little moose are so I can sprinkle some glitter right there. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have at the top of one of the trees I had forgot one little tip of removable vinyl. So after this video was off before I epoxy, I actually found that tip and pulled it off. Just in case anybody ever caught that and saw it. See, it's right there. So that's the end of this tutorial. I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and click the bell if you like this, and to see